I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate, and this is Principles and Tactics of Two-Man or Multiple Attackers. This is kind of our introduction to dealing with multiple attackers. We're going to have some videos for that coming up. We're going to start out with the traditional Kenpo two-attacker techniques, and then eventually we're going to move on and give you 3 and 4, maybe even more than that. You get past 4, it gets kind of silly. But I wanted to give you some of our thoughts, some of the principles that Kenpo has, and also some of the ones we've developed over the years dealing with multiple attackers, and also some of the tactics that we've developed dealing with multiple attackers. So here they are. Alright, so the first thing we've done, just for simplicity's sake, when you're dealing with two attackers, a lot of times it gets confusing who's who. Instead of giving them names, you know, like introducing them as this is Austin, this is Max, and then you guys got to remember different people's names, especially if we switch up who's who. We're going to identify them by where they start in the technique. The attacker to the defender's right is going to be the red attacker. The attacker to the defender's left is going to be the blue attacker. If they happen to be front and back, person in the front is going to be red, person in the back is going to be blue. All right, so right red, back blue. There's an L in blue. All right. There's also a B in blue, L left, B. Okay. When we get into, say, 3, 4 attackers, we'll be doing red 1, red 2, blue 1, blue 2, like that. It'll just kind of help you to index, and if you get a hold of our written manuals and stuff, it'll be written up the same way, okay, red and blue. Alright, so when you're dealing with multiple attackers, you basically have 2 options. You can stack them up or you can spread them out. Most of your Kenpo techniques do a spread. Spreading is when you push them apart so that they have to take at least one step to get to you. Okay? If you stand in a position where both attackers can hit you without having to move to you, you're going to get overwhelmed pretty quickly. And this may be one of the things that leads to the fallacy that you cannot fight more than one person at a time. You got to spread them enough that they have to come to you to hit you. That gives you time to deal with them. It gives you the warning that they're coming. The problem with spreads is that you use a lot of energy moving back and forth between them. You use a lot of energy keeping them apart, and you hit kind of a critical mass when you just can't handle any more people. Personally, I think it's about 4. I don't know. Just all that running around, jumping back and forth, you lose visual contact on them. It's impossible to keep all of them in your field of vision when you have to constantly go back and forth and hit this guy and run over here and hit that guy and run over here and hit this guy. Spreading is a much larger drain on your resources. It's easy to teach. It's easy to demonstrate. People seem to grasp it quickly. It's a lot harder to do, in my opinion. Stacking is when you line all the bad guys up. You get one guy, you put him between you and everybody else as a shield, you move around, and you bring them all into one line, into a stack. It sounds really complicated. It's not that hard if you practice. It has the benefit that you're only constrained by the amount of space that you have. I personally have stacked about 8 or 10 people in a room that was about 10 by 12. Actually, it wasn't a room. It was a space in a barn. I'll call it a room. Anyway, you can do it with practice. Okay? The bonus is you're only fighting one person at a time when you stack. You can fight one guy till he's down, then you can fight the next guy. You're not constantly running back and forth between fresh opponents. You're fighting one guy. He's down, you fight another guy. It's a lot less work on your energy. It's just less work, man. Stacking is better. It takes more practice, and it can be a little bit more of a mental exercise, but really your limits are just the amount of space that you have. There isn't a lot of stacking in Kenpo techniques. I think you only have like 2, maybe 3 that do it. But all of them can be converted into stacks, and we're going to take a little time and show you how you can stack in most of them. When you get into techniques where we're going to show you 3, 4 opponents, we're definitely going to do some stacking with those. People will tell you that you cannot fight more than one opponent at a time. It's a lie. I've seen it done. I've done it. I've taught people to do it. You can do it. You cannot grapple more than one opponent at a time. You can't jiu-jitsu more than one opponent at a time. There are fighting styles that will teach you how to fight more than one opponent at a time. That's what they were designed for. Learn one of those if you want to fight more than one guy at a time. Kenpo is a martial art designed for multiples. Multiple attackers and multiple attacks. That's what it's here for, okay? The adrenal stress classes that we teach will teach you how to fight multiple attackers. You can learn how to fight more than one person at a time. The tactics are different than you would learn in a traditional martial arts school, okay? But you know what? Squad tactics are different from army tactics. They're different. That's the way it is, okay? So if you try to apply judo tactics to a sword fight, you're going to lose. The tactics are different. Just like you're not going to win a swimming contest with archery tactics. They're different, all right? But you can fight multiple attackers. There are techniques that you need to learn to do it. There are principles that you need to learn to do it. There are tactics that you need. You can learn them. We're going to give you some of the basics with these videos. It's up to you to practice them, to refine them, to ask questions, and to figure it out. You can do it. When you're fighting multiple attackers, you have to assume that they're trying to kill you. Fighting multiple attackers is the same as fighting somebody with a weapon, like a gun or a knife or a club. It's a lethal weapon. 3 guys don't jump on you because they're there to give you the Ed McMahon super prize. They jump on you because they want to do serious bodily harm. Okay? And when they get you on the ground, they're not going to stop and go, see, I told you we were tough. They're going to stomp you. They're going to put boots on you. They're going to kick you into the hospital, maybe worse. So you have to take it as a serious threat to your life. All right? Which means that when you're fighting, you can't think, oh, well, I'm going to kick this guy in the stomach, or I'm going to punch this guy in the nose. Your tactics have to be suited to a lethal encounter. You have to be willing to drop that first guy. You need to stop the guy who's in range of you. All right? Now, if you're not willing to take a life, that's fine, but you need to use the highest level of force that you're willing to use. Okay? That means you need to start smashing knees. You need to start dishing out concussions. You need to be using instant stop maneuvers. And if you don't know any, it's time to go start training. You need to start learning how to do knockouts. You need to start learning how to do limb destructions. Okay? You can learn how to stop people very, very quickly without threatening their life, but you need to learn how to do it. Okay? You can't enter a multiple attacker situation with a reverse punch to the stomach and a back knuckle to the head and think you're going to win. When you're fighting multiple attackers, you have to try and keep your eyes on everybody at once. This is one of the things that makes it so hard, especially if you're using a spread instead of a stack. You need to watch both of them. You're going to have to be using your peripheral vision. This is one of the bonuses to dropping one of the guys as early as you can. If you're fighting 2 guys and you drop the first one, now you only have to deal with the second one. If you run over here and you hurt the blue attacker and you run back here and you hurt the red attacker, then you got to run back over here and hurt the blue attacker again. Then you got to come back over here and you got to hurt the red attacker. If you keep doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to die tired. So you're a lot better off if you can run over here and you can drop the red attacker. Then you can turn and you can concentrate on the blue attacker. Okay? This is another advantage that stacking has. By stacking the opponents, everybody is in front of you. You can focus. You can hit the red attacker and hit the red attacker, and then you notice that the blue attacker is coming around to your left. Oh my. But you can see it. All right? If by some crazy happenstance he's starting to clear the red attacker, you can switch to the blue attacker and stack him in front of the red attacker. Now you can still see them both while you're punishing the blue attacker. All right? So it allows you to keep them both in front of you. You don't want to constantly be switching guys. You're just going to get tired, and they get a chance to recover. If you ever watched old pro wrestling tag team matches, sometimes they get one guy stuck in a corner while they kept tagging out real fast. The guy in the corner, he'd get all tired and worn out. The two guys tagging in and out, they'd be all fresh as a daisy. That's what's going to happen to you if you keep switching back and forth. Except you're not going to have that miracle moment where the crowd starts clapping and cheering for you and you magically get an energy surge and Hulk out and recover. Okay? Drop a guy as quick as you can. All right, another thing you want to do is you really need to check your environment before you engage. Know where you are, know what's going on around you. If you're stacking these guys and you can maneuver some of them into, say, traffic, that's a good thing for you. If you can maneuver them so that you have easy access to the exit and you can get out of there, that's a good thing for you. By the same token, if you're not paying attention to the environment and you're maneuvering around and you get stuck in a corner where they can dogpile you, that's a bad thing for you. So you need to pay attention to your environment. If you're familiar with the Book of Five Rings, or I think they did a movie on it, there's a bit where Musashi's fighting a whole bunch of guys and he leads them into a rice paddy. He's standing on the hills in between the rice paddies while all these fools come charging through the marshy parts of the rice paddies. So he's fighting a whole bunch of guys and he's cutting them down because he's the only one on solid footing. They're all splashing through and falling down and getting worn out, and every time one of them trips, he just cuts them down. Musashi's winning against this huge group because they're not paying attention to the environment he is. Okay, so he's stacking, he's moving along the one piece of solid dry footing, and all his enemies are idiots because they're not paying attention. That's the kind of thing you need to pay attention to. That's the kind of thing you want to do. Okay? All right, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is the cover out. If you're familiar with Kenpo, you know that we add the cover out at the end of all of our techniques. It's a little bit of punctuation at the end of our sentence or the paragraph. You really, really want to pay attention to the cover out of multiple attackers. I've noticed personally that the cover out helps to break the tunnel vision. It gives you a nice sweep of the area as you're leaving. And if there's anybody that was thinking about sneaking up on you and joining in on the party, when they see you eyeball them, they change their mind. All of a sudden, it's not cool anymore. Okay? They wanted to jump in on your back. You look at them and they go, oh, never mind. All right? Don't skip the cover out on multiple attackers. Really, you should never skip the cover out, but never, ever skip the cover out on multiple attackers. It's like that last bit of safety net for you. All right? Don't skip it. You're going to need it. All right, I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate. This was our multiple attackers, principles and tactics. I hope you enjoy the multiple attacker videos that are coming up. Practice. I'll see you in class.